So our next one, it's going to be this stretched, this bent box, okay? So those of you that don't have a bent box, please create a box, put enough segments, and then bend it, okay? And then you can follow me. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to do that. So by now you all have a bent box, and here we're going to use a combination of best plane and contour, okay? So if we think about it, this, it's kind of the road that I draw before, okay? But let's see if it makes sense for me to actually use contour there, okay? I'm going to press contour, and what happens is that it's a stretching. So I'm actually going to take that shell, and it's this map here, okay? I'm going to rotate it. And what it's doing is that it's stretching the texture in this way to follow the side. But that's probably not going to happen if this is a piece of plastic or rest of wood covered in melanin, okay? I'm not going to stretch my paper. You can't really stretch paper. So in this case, it doesn't really matter that I use contour. I'm going to use contour for this side, okay? Because if I put a planar one here, I'm going to see, it's going to be obvious that this is not following the curve, okay? So in this case, I'm just going to use a best plane, UV best plane, and then select the best plane, enter, okay? And I'm going to do the same for all of the planar faces. So I'm going to go on face, select this face, grow it, best plane, select the best plane and enter. And I'm going to be doing that for all of these cases, okay? Best plane, select the best plane and enter, and finally to the other side. So shift to select that, grow, UV best plane, select the best plane and enter. Okay, right now the orientation of those shells doesn't really work for me, but we're gonna fix that, okay? And finally, select the inside of this, okay? And I apply contour to it. Because in this case, I can actually curve my paper. So it actually makes sense, okay? This is why there is no one solution for everything. It depends on the shape of your object and the kind of material you're using, okay? And then I can use contour here. Okay, and I get all my shells there. And if I lay out them, this is still not working. Now, my UVs are not properly, even if they would be, let's say, in the right scale, they are not on the right orientation, and they are a little bit too stretched out in one or the other direction, okay? So I'm gonna let you do first the mapping, and then we continue with the other part, okay? The next part, so we have, actually you have a mess, right? You have everything together right now. I didn't have it because I pressed layout. So, but this is still not true, because there is no way the interior and the exterior curve are the same proportion, okay? There is no way they are kind of like squarish. There is also no way the sides are smaller than those curves, okay? So this whole thing is wrong. So we are not gonna scale it. I mean, even if I scale it now, and I said it, yeah, sure, the whole thing is in the right scale, but the proportions are still off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is unfold them. So I'm gonna take this shell. I'm actually gonna take it by shell, and I'm gonna go to my unfold menu and click on unfold. Okay, now this has like a more reasonable proportion. Okay, I'm gonna move it out here because I want to show you something later. I'm gonna take the other, this is probably the inner curve, and I'm gonna unfold it also. Okay, right now they are in the wrong scale. Okay, and I'm going to unfold this one as well so that it has the right proportions. It's probably, it was already flat. I didn't need it to unfold it, but it's so that I get really easily the right proportions. Okay, and these two I don't really need to unfold, but I do need to make them in one direction. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and put Orient Shells, so it's at least horizontal, and the same with this one. And I probably need to rotate it so that it's on the same one as the other. So I go here to rotate, and I rotate them, okay? So the one thing I notice here is that it has this little distortion, like the UVs are moved. So I take my shelf, okay, and I go to straighten UVs. I'm not going to straighten the shelf, but the UVs, because it's the UVs what have been moved. So I straighten UVs, and now it's all straight. And I do the same here, and now it's all straight, okay? Now I can set the scale. I have a random scale, it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna set the scale. Now they all have the right scale, and now I'm going to press on layout, and it's gonna fit it nicely in my map, okay? That doesn't mean it's right, because maybe I have it on the wrong orientation, but let's see how it's working, okay? So actually, if I decide that that's how I want to glue my melanin, then that's fine. Then it's the right orientation. Maybe I can just rotate these two and make them vertical, okay? And because I know this is a seamless texture, I'm just going to scale it out so that that texture looks smaller on my object. And that's it. Then it's mapped, okay? Now, if I soften this out, because I already had the right, if I smooth out with a smooth preview with 3, what it's gonna look like is like, kind of like if I sanded a little bit the corners, okay? And if I go really on detail, I see that this is a stretch out. This is why we UV map after we apply the smoothing, okay? But if this is this far away and it's just part of a detail, I don't really notice the stretch out. It just looks like a block of wood that I sanded a little bit on the edges, okay? So you always have to consider how much detail you have to put on things, okay? But by default, you shouldn't apply the UV mapping before you apply the smoothing because you might get stretching, okay?